Well, a real sad sign of the times, really, that Reform UK feel they have no choice now but to implement emergency security measures, 24-hour security for Reform MPs. Before I get to that, though, just to give you the very latest on the murder investigation.
I'd like to give you an update on where we find ourselves today. Our investigation into the death of 78-year-old Ann Widdecombe has continued to develop over the past 24 hours. Shortly after 9 p.m. on Saturday, the 11th of July, a 28-year-old white British man was arrested at an address in Rotherham, South Yorkshire, on suspicion of the murder of Miss Widdecombe. We were supported by officers from Counter-Terrorism Police North East and South Yorkshire Police who carried out the arrest on behalf of Devon and Cornwall. Miss Widdecombe's family have been informed of the update and continue to be supported by our specialist officers. Our thoughts remain with her family and friends at this incredibly difficult time. At this point, there is still no information to suggest that this is a terrorism-related incident, and at this point, we are not looking for anyone else in connection with this murder. We retain primacy of this investigation, and detectives remain open-minded about the potential motive. At this stage, there is nothing to suggest that it was politically motivated. A cordon is still in place as officers continue inquiries at the scene, and we anticipate that this will be the case for the next few days. The local community can also expect to see a heightened police presence in the coming weeks to provide reassurance to them. However, I wish to reassure you that we do not have any information to suggest that there is any wider threat to the public at this time. We're grateful to our colleagues in South Yorkshire for the assistance that they provided, and they'll continue to support through our investigation. Over the past few days, we've received in excess of 120 reports of information to assist us in our investigation into our major incident public portal. I'd just like to thank all those who've taken the time to contribute that information and ask anyone who has not yet submitted any information that they hold to do so as a priority. We're aware of online and public speculation, particularly with regards to motive. Again, I urge people not to share or engage with that speculation. It's unhelpful, it doesn't aid our investigation, and particularly it's distressing to the family and friends of Miss Widdecombe. We understand that there's a huge appetite for information, but progressing and protecting the integrity of our investigation is paramount now. We recognise there is still some way to go in this case, and the release of any information will be a decision made on an operational basis. I would like to thank the local communities, the wider public and the media for their ongoing support and patience. I would ask them to continue to support us in the next stage of this investigation. Any relevant information, images or footage can be reported via our major incident public portal, and you can follow the links and QR codes available on our website to achieve this. Information can also be passed anonymously to the independent charity Crime Stoppers.
So just to recap, a man arrested in Rotherham on suspicion of murder. Officers supported by Counter-Terrorism Police. The police say they're open-minded about the potential motive, but there was nothing to suggest it was politically motivated. But you have to question what on earth is going on in our country. It's very harrowing to note Andrew Pearce in the Mail writing that the only time he actually saw Ann Widdecombe on the verge of tears was when her good friend, Conservative MP Sir David Amess, was murdered.
Well, he's been very, very thoroughly radicalised. And I found it very disturbing, I always do when it happens, that somebody who is educated, articulate, clever, intelligent, is not civilised and can consider this a reasonable thing to do, indeed a thing of which he can be proud. That is very difficult to process. I mean, you expect people who are disadvantaged maybe can't work out what they're doing, but surely, there should have been some empathy there, and yet there wasn't. Just none. He didn't care what he did to the family. There was no empathy at all.
And we know that there were some signs of his radicalisation as far back as 2014, where he was referred to the Prevent and Channel programmes. That was an alert teacher. How concerned are you that only a tiny fraction of the referrals to these counter-radicalisation programmes are coming from family and friends?
Well, let me say, first of all, it's very easy to be knowledgeable in retrospect, and I do understand they're going to get some things wrong. I do understand that. But nevertheless, what I would say is this, that to families, if they think that sons, brothers, whatever it might be, are becoming radicalised, or daughters for that matter, sisters, if people are becoming radicalised, report it, because you'll not only be saving the potential victims, you'll actually be doing your relative a favour, because this man now, he's going to spend 50, maybe 60 years in prison, confined to a narrow cell, a restricted exercise yard. He's never going to walk in the free country. He's never going to see any beauty of sunsets. And he's never even going to be able to do something ordinary like go shopping and buy a cup of coffee. That is all denied to him. So I would say to families, if you've got any suspicions, think of your relative as well. If you can't think beyond that to the victims, think of the relative. This is what's waiting for him. And that's why I'm glad he wasn't shot. He didn't get his martyrdom. This is what is waiting for them.
What does it say about our country that Reform UK now feeling it necessary to give their MPs 24-hour protection, and that the security is being paid for by the party after many of them have been followed, harassed, filmed? Richard Tice there saying that the party paying for security to walk its MPs from Parliament to its headquarters. He says there, Tice, that it's actually more dangerous in the half a mile around Parliament than almost anywhere else, that it's a flashpoint, that security outside Parliament is intermittent, and they're now having to pay for their own security to meet us. Tice also revealing there he's had to press his panic button around Christmas when followed by an aggressive man. And the quote there from Richard Tice, that there is a growing level of fury amongst Reform MPs at the multiple failings of security by the police and by the parliamentary authorities to give us the necessary protection we've asked for, and that they don't think the authorities recognise how much worse this is getting, and it's getting worse and worse. And it still, in this context, remains pretty shocking, as was revealed in October 2025 of last year, that Nigel Farage had his security detail downgraded by 75%, instead having to rely on private security protection paid for by donors. Zia Youssef was talking about that, and you have to ask what on earth that is all about. But Zia Youssef also today making something very clear. You can see the front page of the Mail on Sunday. Zia Youssef pointing out some are thinking it means Reform MPs have been given police protection by the state. In actual fact, several MPs writing to the authorities about escalating security concerns, asking for help, and Zia Youssef saying there that the correspondence was not even replied to. That seems to me to be a pretty shocking state of affairs, but I will just leave you with yet another amazing tribute, this time from Zia Youssef, an incredible tribute to an incredible lady, Ann Widdecombe.
The tragic death of Ann Widdecombe has shaken not just the millions of reformers across the country, it has rocked the nation too. For Ann was a true national treasure. I can only imagine what her loved ones are going through, and my heart goes out to them. We don't yet know who committed this barbaric act, nor do we know why. Here's what I do know. Having entered politics a couple of years ago from the world of business, there was a veteran politician with whom I met regularly, someone I had immense respect for, and would offer me counsel and wisdom, which I found incredibly helpful. My admiration for Ann began when she spoke at my school during assembly. I found it remarkable that someone so diminutive in stature could be such a towering presence in any room. All these years on, I felt it a surreal privilege to now consider her as a mentor, guiding me through my own adventure in politics. We would discuss challenges and opportunities. all the things that politics throws at you. Anne always had time to discuss things in detail. She was genuinely motivated to help, and her presence radiated empathy and warmth. I could also be assured that where she disagreed with the view that I had, she would be direct and forthright in explaining why. I recall being struck by just how relevant the wisdom of a lady in her late 70s still was in this hypermodern era. I will always be grateful to Anne and remember those lunches and long tea meetings at Reform HQ with wistful fondness. Her multi-decade parliamentary career, during which she held key ministerial positions, means she permanently altered the course of our history. She was always focused on the people that mattered, the British public. Remarkably, as prisons minister, she visited every single prison in the country, conducting rigorous, unannounced inspections to review security, speak with governors, and inspect inmate conditions. She fought for the sovereignty of Britain with Nigel Farage in the European Parliament, serving up some incredible moments. But Anne was an inspiration to me and so many others in standing up for her beliefs, even when they came at great personal cost. She was a fierce supporter of animal rights, and when she described fox hunting as morally indefensible, she was widely criticized by her colleagues in the Conservative Party, to such an extent that the party stripped her of the ability to speak on the issue. Anne's unflinching resolve in standing up for animal rights so publicly is widely considered to have cost her any chance of the leadership of her party. You see, Anne was a maverick who would not blow in the wind, as so many politicians do today. Her legacy is to be one of the most formidable and courageous voices in politics, and to be widely considered a national treasure. The last lunch we had ended with her enthusiastically saying she would write up some of her advice on sentencing reform, based on her vast experience. I am so sad I shall never get to read it, nor enjoy such a lunch again. Rest in peace, Anne.